This is a Libravox recording. All Libravox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit Libravox.org. Civil Service, an American drama in 3 acts, a play with a punch. Act 1, the workroom of a post office, the Saturday after Christmas, the thief. Act 2, same as Act 1, a week later, the trial. Act 3, same as Acts 1 and 2, the next morning, the new life. Time, the present. Place, a small city in the Middle West. Act 1 of Civil Service by Walter Ben Hare. Bright music takes up the curtain. Mr. Simpson Peavy is discovered at rise working in the rear of center table. He is filling a mail sack with letters, papers, parcels, etc., and works energetically, reading addresses, postcards, etc. Enter Miss Octavia Reynolds from left upper entrance.
May I come in?
Why, it's Miss Reynolds!
Bustles down left, dusts office chair, and presents it to her at left.
Good morning. This is quite a surprise.
Smiles at her. Octavia sits left.
Thank you.
Still snowing outside?
No, the snow has stopped, but it's awfully cold. Is my father here, Mr. Peavy?
Yes, he's in his office.
He isn't busy, is he?
Peavy smirks.
Not too busy to see you, Miss Reynolds.
Octavia rises,
I'll go right in.
makes no effort to do so.
It must be nearly time to open the post office, isn't it, Mr. Peavy?
Open her in 10 minutes. 8 o'clock sharp.
You're all alone, aren't you?
Pause in confusion.
I mean, Mr. Ordain hasn't come down yet, has he?
Yes, he's around somewheres. He's a mighty fine young man, Miss Reynolds. A mighty fine young man.
Yes, so I've heard.
Peavy leers at her.
Only heard. Don't you know personally? A little bird has been whispering around that you and Steve are mighty good friends.
Mr. Peavy!
Rises,
Oh, I didn't mean anything.
backing toward rear.
It was only my little joke. You know me, Miss Reynolds. I'm bound to have my little joke.
Please, don't joke like that again. I don't like it.
Why, I didn't say anything. I only said...
Enter Steve Audain from right.
Yes, I know what you said.
Sees Steve.
Why, Mr. Ordain.
Steve crosses to her and shakes hands at left center.
Miss Reynolds.
I guess I'll go outside and see a friend of mine.
Steve and Octavia are conversing and pay no attention to him.
Humph! I said I guess I'll be going outside.
Steve turns to him.
Oh, all right. Don't let us interfere.
Oh, you ain't interfering at all. I guess I know that 2 is company and 3 ain't, and I don't reckon you need a chaperone. That little bird was a wise bird, wasn't he? Must have been an owl.
Exit left.
Oh, I can't bear that man.
He isn't worth one of your thoughts.
He's such a gossip.
Pouts.
Why, he inferred that I only came down here this morning to see you.
I only wish you did.
I came to see father. I didn't see him at breakfast, and this is my birthday.
I know it. You're a little Christmas snowbird.
Octavia smiles.
Oh, Mr. Ordain.
Steve comes nearer to her.
Miss Reynolds, Octavia, I want to give you a little remembrance of the happy occasion. May I?
Why, Steve, how very formal you are. Of course you may. You are one of my oldest and closest friends.
Steve takes parcel from pocket.
It isn't much.
Hands it to her.
I hope you'll wear it at your birthday party tonight.
Octavia opens package, displays leather box, draws out neck chain with a dainty lavalier attached.
Oh, Steve, it is beautiful. How can I thank you? And it's for me? Oh, it's the dearest of all my presents just because you gave it to me. It's a darling.
Holds it up.
I saw it at the jewellery store and thought that it had been made on purpose for you. The little chain with the blue forget-me-nots, just like your eyes. It seemed that it wouldn't be right for any other girl in town to have it because it just suits you.
Octavia putting it in leather box.
You are too kind, Steve. But really, it's a costly present, and after the beautiful present you gave me at Christmas, do you think I had better accept this?
Of course I do. I only wish it were diamonds and pearls.
Then I suppose I must. And I do thank you, Steve. You are so good to me.
There's only one other thing I'd like to give you.
Something else? What is it?
Steve close to her.
A ring, a diamond, a solitaire. Would you wear it for me? Would you, Octavia?
A solitaire? For me? Oh, Steve, what would people say?
Just what I would want them to say, Octavia. Could you care for me a little?
Takes her hand.
When I care for you so much?
Enter Peavy from left.
Oh, excuse me.
They spring apart.
I didn't see nothing. I'll go out again if you want me to.
I don't know what you mean to infer, Mr. Peavy. Mr. Audlane was just congratulating me on my birthday.
Oh, that was it, was it? Let me congratulate you, too. Maybe I ought to be congratulating the both of you.
Thank you.
Reynolds outside right.
Steve, where in the thunder is that circular of instructions? Peavy, come here. I want you.
Peavy crossing to right.
Yes, sir. I'm coming, sir.
Exits right.
Now it will be all over town. You know how people talk.
Let them talk, Octavia. If you would only give me a little word of encouragement, just a little.
Enter J.L. Reynolds from right in shirt sleeves.
I never saw such an office. Peavy hasn't got the sense of a tin monkey on a stick. We can't find a thing until Miss Kenyon comes back.
Sees Octavia.
Octavia! Well, many happy birthdays, little girl.
Kisses her.
Did you get my little present? I left it at your breakfast plate.
Steve works at sorting mail at center table.
Oh, Papa, it was so good of you. You are just the perfect old dear. It's the dearest of all my presents just because you gave it to me. I'll keep it always. See what a lovely chain I got this morning?
Holds it up.
Chain? Who gave it to you?
Mr. Audlane, Father.
Reynolds whistles in surprise.
Steve? Well.
He turns to Steve.
Steve, I'm afraid you're spoiling my little girl.
Steve comes to right center.
Mr. Reynolds,
Well, take a little tip from Father. Don't you take Octavia too seriously. She's a dear little girl, but she mustn't be taken too seriously.
I think I understand you, Mr. Reynolds.
Go in and see if you can help Peavy find that last circular of instructions. Honest, he's turned my office upside down. I wish Miss Kenyon was here. She always knows where everything is.
She's coming back this morning.
Yes, on the 10:10 train. She could put her finger on that circular in a minute.
I'll see if I can find it, Mr. Reynolds.
Exits right. Reynolds at center turned to Octavia.
Octavia, I'm afraid you've been encouraging that young man.
Oh, no, I haven't. He just likes me, that's all. I haven't had to encourage him at all.
Does he know that you are engaged to marry Archie Brocklin?
Oh, Papa, of course not. That would spoil everything.
Steve is a fine young fellow. He's better looking than young Brocklin.
He's only a clerk. A mere government clerk. What can you be thinking of? Of course he is good looking and nice. Indeed, he's quite the nicest boy in town. But Mr. Brocklin is a gentleman.
Yes, and he's in Kansas City, and what he doesn't know won't hurt him. But you'd better tell Steve about him, honey. You'd better let Steve know you're engaged.
Nothing of the sort. Why, that will be horribly crude. Steve really doesn't care any more for me than I do for him, but in a town of this size, one must do something to pass away the time.
So you've decided to do Steve.
Now, Papa! We're only good friends, that's all. But I hope he won't find out about my engagement till I want him to.
Well, don't make him spend too much money. Remember, he only gets $1,000 a year.
Please let me manage it my own way. What harm is there in an innocent little flirtation?
Enter Steve from right.
Here's the paper you were looking for, Mr. Reynolds.
Reynolds takes it.
Thanks.
Crosses to right.
Come into the office, Octavia.
Exits right.
Must you go?
I'm afraid so. Come over to the party a little early tonight, Steve.
You bet I will. I can hardly wait. Octavia, you do care a little for me, don't you?
Reynolds off stage at right.
Octavia!
Yes, Papa?
At door right.
Why, of course I do, Steve. Come early.
Exits right. Steve at table center sorts mail and hums "Dearie" or some similar love song.
Nothing's worth while but thoughts of you, dearie, my dearie.
Enter Peavy from right. Peavy goes to center table and works sorting mail.
Well, Steve, how far did you get?
I don't know what you mean.
Got the date of the wedding settled yet?
Whose wedding?
Oh, you know, your wedding. I guess the post office force will have to be saving up their money to buy you a gilt picture or a piano lamp or something.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, a little bird has been telling me.
Honest, Sim Peavy, you'd better pay more attention to your work and less attention to that little bird.
Don't my work suit you?
Sure it does, as long as I don't have to do it.
Well, you ain't the postmaster of this town yet, Mr. Steve Audane, not by a long shot. And until you are, you better not be casting any reflections on my work. You ain't my boss, and don't you forget it.
No, I ain't. That's a fact. If I were your boss, I'd mighty soon hang out a sign saying, "Man wanted."
You're too smart, young man. Too darn smart. You think that just because you've got a kind of a pull with a postmaster's daughter that you can run the whole civil service? But you can't.
I think that you'd better not pay any more attention to my private affairs, Mr. Sim Peavy. I don't like it, and I give you fair warning that you better not connect my name with any other in your gossip, 'cause if you do, you and I are going to come together, Sim Peavy, and come together hard.
Well, then, maybe you'd better pay me that little money, won't me, Mr. Steve Audane? It's $98, and it's been running up ever since the 1st of November.
I will pay you just as soon as I get my January check.
Your January check won't amount to that much altogether.
Well, you needn't worry. You'll get your money.
You bet I'll get my money. If I don't, I'll go to the postmaster about it. You're flying too high for a man of your salary. It takes money to get into society in this town, and if you don't look out, you'll lose your job.
I'll pay you what I owe this week, and I don't need any of your advice.
Maybe you think you can pay me when you marry Miss Reynolds.
If you couple my name with hers again, I'll thrash you, Sim Peavy.
Comes toward him.
Remember that.
I was only joking. I don't mean nothing, Steve. It's just My little joking way. Can't you take a joke?
Well, don't joke about me. I'm not in the mood for jokes.
My folks at home say that I'm the biggest cut-up in 2 counties. My wife is always laughing fit to kill at me.
Yes, I think she would.
But I can't afford to let that loan run any longer. I need that money, and I need it right away. If I was to tell the postmaster...
Clock strikes 8 off stage. Steve crosses to left, arranges desk, opens window, and sells stamps in pantomime. His back is toward Peavy. Enter Octavia from right.
Goodbye, Steve. I'll look for you early tonight.
I'll be there.
And thank you so much for your present.
Exit left.
That's where my money goes, buying her presents.
Don't you worry about your money. I'll pay you in a couple of days.
I won't wait. I want it right away.
Enter Reynolds from right.
Has old RFD got here yet?
No, sir, not yet. He's generally here by 7. I hope he ain't snowed up or nothing.
He's just driving in.
Look off left.
I can see him in the snow. He looks like Santa Claus.
I suppose he's frozen stiff. 13 miles through the snow on a morning like this is no snap. Go and help him hitch.
Yes, sir. That's just what I was going to do.
Exit left.
Steve, you stay at the stamp window until Miss Kenyon comes. She's due on the 10:10, but it's 15 minutes late.
Yes, sir.
Sells stamps in pantomime, weighs parcels, etc. RFD heard off stage at left.
All right, Mr. Peavy. Much obliged to you. Whoa, Bess. Steady, girl. Now, give me a hist with these packages. All right.
Reynolds at center looks toward left.
Old RFD's getting pretty old for this winter work. I'll see if I can't fix a job for him here in town.
RFD still outside.
Here I come. Let me get at that fire. I'm froze as stiff as a 6-foot icicle.
Enter RFD from left. Packages around his neck on strings, arms and pockets full of parcel post packages, stamps with cold, exercises arms, etc. to get warm. Reynolds helping him unload.
Got through all right, did you, RFD?
Did I? You bet I did. It takes more than 4 foot of snow to keep me and that old mare Bess away from our business. Yes, sir.
Pretty cold, wasn't it? 13 miles through the snow?
Well, postmaster, it wasn't no dream of a 4th of July, nor nothing like that. Cy Barkins give me a good cup of coffee, and old Bess and me jogged along until we got here. Whew, it's cold.
Takes off muffler and mittens. Looks at old mittens.
Gotta get me a new pair of mittens next payday, sure. These have lasted me nigh on to 4 years, but they're getting down to the last stages of dilapidation, as you might say.
Turns to Steve.
Morning, boy.
Morning, RFD. I thought when I saw you driving up that it was old Santa Claus himself coming to the post office.
I guess I look like old Saint Nick, with all them bundles and things. But old Bess ain't what you'd call a reindeer, even in the summertime. She's a good animal, though, old Bess is, but she ain't no Maud S., as you might say, when it comes to speed. Where's the little princess?
Looks around.
I thought she was going to come back today. It don't seem natural when she ain't over there at the window, selling stamps and etceteries.
She's coming in on the morning train. You're right, Old RFD, it don't seem like the same office without Kate Kenyon.
Enter Peavy from left.
It's colder than a salt mackerel. It's a wonder you wasn't frizz, RF. Didn't you get kind of cold?
Well, I wasn't wet through with perspiration, as you might say. Long about sunup it was tolerably cold, and I thought once that old Bess was going to lay right down in the middle of the road and make a bee-line for the happy hunting ground. But I started to sing. I reckon I must have sung for nigh under 4 miles, and old Bess, being a female critter, just naturally had to keep step to my music. That's how we got here.
That trip is getting pretty difficult for a man of your age, RF.
Man of my age? Huh. I ain't 67 yet. I reckon I'm good for 20 years yet on old Route number 5.
How would you like to have a city run?
Not me. No, sirree. I wouldn't like it at all. Seems like country folks is nearer to my heart than city folks. They all appear just like my own flesh and blood. All along the line it's hello, old RFD, and howdy, and I snum. Even the dogs and the little children all know the old man. You see, postmaster, I ain't got no family, no wife nor little children, not even a dog. So it kind of does my old heart good just to know all the people on my route. They're just like my own kinfolks, every one of 'em.
But you'd be more comfortable here in the city.
Maybe so. But here in the city, everybody is strangers to everybody else. Might be 1,000 people riding gunshot of ye, but nary a one knows who you be, and don't give a cuss. Much obliged, postmaster, for all your kindness, but I'm going to stick close to old Route number 5 until I have to leave civil service.
Peavy, have you seen anything of the new man this morning?
No, sir. Are we going to have a new sub?
Yes. Young chap by the name of Wex. Comes from the country. Send him in as soon as he shows up.
Exit right. Peavy working at center table.
Seems like you got an extra large number parcel post this morning, RF.
Yep. Folks is sending their Christmas presents back to be traded for groceries. Mail is generally considerably swelled up round Christmas time. Had to laugh at the widder Meeker, though. She was sending a mess of carrots over to her son-in-law's on Route 1, and she had 'em in a basket without ary wrapper. She stood there talking to me, and I snum if old Bess didn't come right up and eat 2-3 carrots right out of the basket, right under the widder's nose, as you might say. And she was so scared that she couldn't even say scat.
Goldie Wax sticks his head in the door at left.
Say, is this the place?
Shut that door, it's colder than 0.
Goldie enters and stands sheepishly at the door, twisting his hat and grinning.
How to do, mister?
Howdy. What do you want?
Say, this is the post office, ain't it?
And what do you think it was, the Presbyterian Church?
Are you the postmaster?
No, I ain't.
I thought you was the boss.
Mr. Reynolds is the postmaster.
Can I see him? Pa says for me to see the boss.
What do you want to see him for?
Going to work here. I'm the new hired hand. I'm going to be a rural free deliverer.
Oh, is your name Wex? Mr. Wex?
Now, pause, Mr. Wax. I'm Goldie.
Goldie? Boys, he says his name is Goldie.
Yes, sir, that's it. Just plain Goldie. Everybody thinks it's funny at first, but after you hear it for a spell, you sort of get used to it. You see, folks thinks it's funny 'cause my name is Goldie and 'cause my hair is kind of red. My pa named me Goldie. He got it out of a novel book he was a-readin', and as I happened to arrive right along at that time, he up and hitched the Goldie onto me.
Wex is a funny name, too. Do folks call you Gold Dust for short?
Yes, sir, now and again. What's your name?
I'm Mr. Peavy, Mr. Simpson Peavy.
Goldie laughs.
Gee, that's about as funny as Goldie. Do folks call you Simp for short?
Steve and RFD laugh. Enter Reynolds from right.
What's the excitement, boys? Circus parade in town?
It's just about as good as one, Mr. Reynolds. It's the new sub. This is Mr. Goldie Wex.
Reynolds crosses to Goldie at left center and shakes hands heartily.
Mr. Wex, I'm glad to know you.
Yes, sir, I am too.
Reynolds, smiling.
So, you've received your notification, have you?
My whatification? No, sir, I don't guess I did.
I mean a letter from the government telling you that you've been appointed a carrier on Rural Route number 7.
Yes, sir, I got a letter all right. It was an awful big letter. Biggest letter I ever see, by heck. And they had it all printed out so as I could be sure to read it. Got it last night. So Pa says to me, he says, Goldie, son, Pa always calls me son 'cause he's my father. He says, Goldie, son, you've been appointed at the post office. And sure enough, that's what it meant. So I rid in 7 miles, and here I be.
Have the carriers gone out yet?
Yes, sir. At 7:45.
You can begin work this afternoon, Mr. Wex.
My pa said that seeing as how I was over 19, it was high time I was getting a job in town. What can he do, says Uncle Jake. God knows, says my pa. Then get him a job in the post office, says Uncle Jake. So here I be.
Peavy, show him where to put his coat and introduce him to the force.
Exit right.
Bring your hat and things in here.
Exit left.
Yes, sir. I wonder if I can take off my store shoes. They're new and are blistering my 2 feet something awful.
Exit left. RFD to Steve.
What's the matter with you, boy? Ain't you well? You don't look just right.
Oh, there's nothing the matter with me. I'm all right.
You don't get enough exercise. You ought to have a job like mine. One that takes you right into the heart of nature. A trip to the woods, even in winter time, is as good as a tonic.
I know it, RF. I'm afraid I've been burning the candle at both ends for a month or 2.
It don't pay, lad. It don't pay. There's only one way to really enjoy life. Be natural. Live simply and help your neighbor. That's been my motto for nigh under 20 years.
Enter Miss Goldstein from left.
Say, I want to see Mr. Ordain, Mr. Steve Ordain. Is he here?
Yes, there he is. That's Mr. Ordain.
Miss Goldstein goes to Steve, takes package of bills from bag.
You're the man I want to see.
Good morning. What can I do for you this morning?
I am representing the Goldstein Collecting Agency. I have a little bill against you for $65.50 that is owing to the Simmons Jewellery Company.
Yes, I know.
And another little bill from the Colleen Taylor Company amounting to $30, and one from the Royal Florist amounting to $15. It comes to $110 and a half, and I'd like to have it settled this morning.
Impossible. I can't pay you this morning.
All these bills have been running for some time. They've got to be paid.
Yes, I know. I intend to pay them. You won't lose a cent.
You bet I won't lose a cent. You'll either make a settlement on those bills or you'll lose your job.
I'll make a payment on the 1st of the month.
You'll make a payment this morning. If you haven't the money, you must borrow it. Mr. Cohen will lend it to you.
Yes, at 80% interest. I don't do business with the loan sharks.
Oh, so you think you are above the loan sharks, do you? Well, it makes no difference how you get it. That ain't my business. But you've got to get it, or I'll go right in that office and speak to your boss. You won't be the first post office man that I've had to bawl out. Maybe you know what happened to Arthur Forrest.
Yes, I do. He lost his position in the dead of winter, when his wife was sick, and they had no food or fire in their little shanty for days. That was your fault. Are you proud of your success?
Of course I am. I've got my money. That's what I'm after, and believe me, I'm going to get it from you.
I tell you, I can't pay you at this time.
Yes, and that's what you'll tell me next month. Those who dance must pay the fiddler. Come now, is it peace or war?
It's war. Go to the postmaster. Tell him what you will. You can't force me into the hands of the loan sharks. I'd rather lose my job.
RFD has taken out old large wallet and takes out 2 old bills.
Boy, here, take this. Let the old man help you.
No, I can't take money from you. She said that those who dance must pay the fiddler. Well, I'm ready to pay.
Dear lady, take this. It's all I've been able to save. It's nigh under $4. But maybe I can let you have some more the 1st of the month. Don't be hard on the boy, don't ye? Don't ye? Steve's a good boy, and he'll pay you just as soon as he's able. Don't be hard on him. He ain't got no mother.
Well, business is business.
Can't you take this here money from me and give him another chance?
Miss Goldstein to Steve.
Do you hear that old man plead for you? Do you see him offering his few dollars to save you from public disgrace?
Yes.
Bows head on desk.
Do you want me to take that money from him?
No, 1,000 times no, Miss Goldstein. Won't you give me another chance? Give me a month, a week, only a week. If you will give me only 1 week, I'll promise to have the money in your office by that time. Please give me another chance.
Miss Goldstein hesitates, then looks at RFD.
Please, lady, remember, he ain't got no mother.
I'll do it. I'll give you a week.
Goes to RFD.
Say, I want to shake hands with you, old man. You are a gentleman, and it is an honour to take you by the hand.
Shakes hands with him.
Oh, I ain't done nothing.
That's all for today.
Turns to Steve.
Remember, you've just got 1 week.
I'll remember, and I want to thank you.
Don't waste your time in thanking me. You want to thank that good old man, that's all.
Goes to door at left.
Good morning.
Exit left.
RF, how can I ever thank you? How can I show my appreciation for what you have done?
RFD taking his hand.
I've got a boy somewhere, just about your age, laddie. God grant that someone may be kind to him when he needs it. God send him a friend in need.
You have a boy? Why, I never knew that, RF.
I ain't seen him in 16 years, lad. Not since he was 4. I don't know where he is, but I think of him every minute of the day and dream of him by night. His eyes were just about the color of yours, lad. And he was the cutest little feller you ever see. But I had to go away and leave him. They took me away, and I never saw him nor his mother again. But God is good, laddie. Some day I'll see them. I feel it. I know it. Some day we'll meet again.
Enter Goldie carrying his shoes.
Say, is it agin the rules to work in my stocking feet? I got me a new pair of shoes this morning at the store. They're about 11 sizes too little. But when a fellow lives in the city, he's gotta dress in style. But they sure do hurt.
Steve, returning to stamp window.
You'd better put them on. The boss is liable to come in.
Goldie puts on shoes.
Gee, but they hurt. I wished I was back home on the farm. Don't never have to wear no shoes out there, 'ceptin' on Sundays.
RFD is filling a mail sack at rear.
Say, young fella, you'd have better have stayed on the farm.
That's what I thought myself. But Pa was bound and determined to get me a job at the post office. And now I gotta wear shoes. Say, is there any pretty girls in this town?
Steve at stamp window.
Oh, yes, the woods are full of 'em.
Gee, that'll just suit me. I'm a dapster hand when it comes to the women folk. Folks out my way all say I'm a regular devil with the ladies.
Enter Mrs. Jeffs from left.
I want to see the postmaster.
Ah, good morning, Mrs. Jeffs. Lovely winter morning.
I ain't got no time to talk about the weather. I want to see the postmaster, and I want to see him right away.
It's against the rules to come in here. You'll have to go around in front to his office.
Young man, do you know who I am?
No, ma'am.
I am Mrs. Jeffs, Mrs. T.R. Jeffs. Boy.
To Goldie, who is at left center, staring at her open-mouthed.
Go in and tell the postmaster that Mrs. T.R. Jeffs wants to see him at once.
Yes, but...
At once, do you hear? At once.
Yes, sir, at once.
Goes to door at right, stumbles over furniture.
Yes, sir, at once.
Exits right. Steve sells stamps at window in pantomime. RFD handing a chair.
Will you have a seat, Mrs. Jeffs?
Mrs. Jeffs taking chair.
Certainly I will. Ain't you got an easier one?
No, I'm sorry, but we ain't. The government don't furnish rocking chairs in the post office.
Mrs. Jeffs does chair and then sits.
I'll write to the congressman about it. What do they expect ladies to sit on when they come in here on business? It's outrageous. I want you to understand that I'm a citizen. I pay my taxes and I expect to have my rights.
Enter Goldie from right.
The postmaster says he's busy just now, but he'll be out in a few minutes.
Can't see me? Can't see me? Did you tell him that Mrs. Jeffs wanted to see him?
Yes'm, that's what I done told him.
Mrs. T.R. Jeffs?
Yes'm, Mrs. T.R. Jeffs.
Well, what did he say to that?
He says he...
Pause.
Say, maybe I hadn't better tell you what he did say.
Well, what did he say?
Well, if you gotta know, he says tell that old gabber that it'll be out when he's good and ready.
Steve laughs in pantomime.
What? What? Old gabber? Did Jake Reynolds call me an old gabber?
Yes'm, I think that's what it was. Maybe it was an old gobbler.
Mrs. Jeffs rises.
Old gobbler? Oh, I'll write to the congressman. I'll write to the postmaster general. I'll write to the president. Old gobbler. Oh, I never was so insulted in all my life.
Walks up and down excitedly. RFD coming to her.
There, Mrs. Jeffs. I reckon that boy got your name wrong. I'm sure Mr. Reynolds would never call you old at all, much less a gabber or a gobbler. He must have thought it was someone else. Yes, ma'am, I'm certain sure there was a mistake. I hope you'll overlook this young man, Mrs. Jeffs, ma'am. He's new in civil service. And the postmaster? Why, the postmaster would never dream of saying such a thing about a prominent lady like you are. No, ma'am, not for a minute. I'll speak to him.
Exit right.
Now there's a man who's got some sense.
I didn't mean nothing. Honest, I didn't.
You don't know enough to come in out of the rain.
No, I don't. But I allus carry an umbrella in wet weather.
Enter Reynolds from right, followed by RFD. Reynolds coming to her.
Why, Miss Jeffs. Dear Miss Jeffs, this is indeed a pleasure. I didn't realize who was out here, or I wouldn't have kept you a minute.
That boy said you called me an old gobbler.
The idea! Preposterous. Perfectly preposterous. Goldie, I'm surprised at you. I'll speak to you later.
Well, you said to tell that old...
That will do. Go in my office and wait for me.
It's all the fault of these darn store shoes. My feet's hurting like old Tom Ginn. Gee, I wish I was back on the farm.
Exit right.
Now, Miss Jeffs, what can I do for you?
RFD fills sack at rear. Steve sells stamps.
I want to mail this letter.
All right, just drop it in that box.
But I want to be sure it gets where it's going.
Oh, that's all right. Just write the address on the envelope.
Jake Reynolds. He ain't in my dotage yet. I guess I know enough to address a letter. The idea.
Well, what can I do for you then? If it's addressed, drop it there, and it will go out by the next train.
But I want a guarantee that it will be safe.
Oh, you want your letter registered? Right over there. Mr. Aldane will wait on you.
I was there, and he said it would cost 10 cents extra. Now, I ain't going to let the government rob me. I put on a 2-cent stamp, and that's enough. I got $100 in that letter. 2 $50 bills.
Steve listens.
All right. Mail it just as it is, but you mail it at your own risk.
That's just what I refuse to do. I heard of money getting lost in the mails, and of its being stole in the post office. Now, I want you to see to it that my $100 gets to where it's going all right.
Maybe you'd like for me to carry the letter and deliver it in person.
See here, I don't want no sarcasm. If the president knew how you talked to your customers, I'll bet he'd appoint a new postmaster. I'm going to mail this letter just as you advised me to do, but understand, I do it at your own risk. If that money is lost, you've got to make it good for me.
Good morning.
Exits right.
Humph! Since Jake Reynolds got appointed postmaster, he thinks he runs the whole government.
Drops letter in box.
I'll send it at his risk.
Cross to door at left.
Wasn't he the sarcastic thing? Some people seem to think they own the whole earth.
Exits at left grandly.
Yes, and she's one of them, the richest woman in town, and the stingiest.
Well, I'm going to hitch up old Bess and drive over to the station and meet Miss Kate. Say, lad, our little stamp clerk is a mighty fine gal. They don't make 'em much finer than Miss Kate is. I sure will be glad when she comes back. Seems like the sun shines brighter when she's working there at the window.
Cross to door.
See you later.
Exit left. Steve, picking up envelope dropped in box by Mrs. Jeffs.
Here it is.
Glances around, then reads address.
McChesney Real Estate Company, Milford. From Mrs. Jeffs. And she said there was $100 in it.
Glances around stealthily.
$100. That will save me.
Tries to open letter.
I wonder if I can.
Enter RFD from left. He watches Steve.
A little steam will open it. I'll do it tonight.
Pockets letter.
Steve, lad.
What is it? What do you want?
RFD goes to table at rear.
Nothing much. Only I forgot the mail sacks.
Mail's pretty light today.
Yep, always is just after the holidays.
Gathers up sacks, etc., puts them on his shoulder.
Certainly is cold this year. Why, last year the flowers were all in bloom at Christmas time. Just think, roses in December. It was the mildest winter since '99.
RFD pausing up center.
Yep, I remember the winter of '99. Warmest winter I ever see. Flowers bloomed all through February.
Yes, but they say they had a freeze in April.
I don't remember that. I wasn't where I could see the freeze in April. I never saw the flowers bloom again for 16 years.
You must have been up in Alaska.
RFD puts sacks down, comes to Steve, speaks sadly.
No, I was in prison.
In prison? You?
Yes, sent up in '99. Post office robbery. Got 15 years.
15 years in prison? 15 years? Why, that's a lifetime.
That's what I thought. It was more than a lifetime. It was an eternity. The stone walls, the stripes, the lockstep and ball and chain, the work in the foundry, and always the dull, hopeless knowledge that tomorrow would be exactly like today. They took my clothes away and gave me stripes. They took my name away and gave me a number. I was no longer a man. I was a criminal, an outcast, a thing to be shunned and pointed at. I was a thief.
Steve starts. Involuntarily, his hand goes to his coat pocket where he placed the letter.
15 years?
I saw my wife torn from my arms, forced in the streets to starve. And my boy, my baby boy, was sick. He was only 4 years old. I had been having a hard winter. I stole a letter containing $20. They tore me away from my loved ones, away to that living death. But that was not the worst. Not a word came from my wife. Not a letter. Not a message. Absolute silence. More than a year later, I learned my wife was dead. Had died of a broken heart 2 months after I was set up.
Sobs.
And I never knew until after a year. Something in me died that night. For the first time in my life, I hated humanity. I determined to be revenged upon a society that had so unjustly used me. For 3 years in that prison I lived with but one thought, endured everything with but one purpose, to get free and then repay my debt. I lived but for revenge.
What happened to your little boy? Did he die too?
No. That was the only thing that done saved me. I heard a traveling evangelist preach on our duty to the living. Every one of us, even the lowest outcast, owed a duty to his fellow man, a duty to his own offspring. I thought of my boy, out there in the big world all alone, and I determined to make another trial. I determined to live for my boy.
And you found him?
No, I was too late. I've never seen my boy since the day they tore me from his little arms. But I will find him. God is good. I have suffered more than my share. I have sinned, but I have paid the penalty. Some day I'll find my boy. But, oh, lad, for 15 years I paid the penalty of my one thoughtless crime. I robbed the government mail. I stole $20. And that act of crime and folly cost me my wife, my only child, and 15 years of my life. 15 years of my life.
Steve takes letter from pocket.
15 years.
Enter Reynolds from right. Steve places letter back in his pocket.
Hello, RF. Train's just about in. Hurry with the mail.
Yes, sir.
Grabs mail sacks and runs out left.
Well, Steve, I guess you'll be glad to see Kate back again.
Oh, yes, sir.
Say, why don't you try to make a match of our little stamp clerk? She likes you awfully well, and Kate's a girl in a million.
Why, I'm sure Kate don't care for me in that way at all.
Well, take a tip from me, Steve. Don't fly too high.
Crosses to door at right.
'Cause if you fly too high, you're apt to drop pretty far.
Exit right.
I wonder if he meant Octavia. No, she loves me, and she can win her father's consent.
Enter Peavy with mail sacks. Enter Goldie from right. If there is a stamping machine convenient, let Peavy run letters through. If not, let him work at sorting up center.
Miss Kate's got home, Steve.
Say, what do I have to do now?
Just come over here and help me.
Say, can I take off my shoes? My feet hurt like old Tom Ginn.
And Miss Kate coming? I guess not.
Geez, I wish I were back on the farm.
Enter RFD from left.
Here she is. Here she is. Looking as pretty as a red rose in a snowstorm.
Enter Reynolds from right.
Did Miss Kate get in?
You bet she did, postmaster. She's out in front now.
Peavy looking out of door at left.
It's her, it's her. Howdy, Miss Kate, howdy. Glad to see you home again.
Enter Kate Kenyon from left.
Back again, boys. After all, there's no place like home sweet home.
Reynolds meeting her at center.
Have a good time, Miss Kate?
Kate shaking his hand.
Did I? I had the time of my young life. I went to 3 teas, 2 parties, and the Christmas ball. I thought I was back in my high school days.
Goes to Steve.
Laddie, you're looking bad. What's the matter? Indigestion or a new love affair?
Yearning for you, that's all. I was simply pining away.
Kate goes to RFD.
And how's the parcel post coming? Any more cans of maple syrup explode? Oh, RF, how happy I am to see you again. You look as natural as life and twice as handsome.
Puts her coat and hat on rack.
We're mighty glad to have you back with us again, Miss Kate. It's just like as if someone pulled up the shade and let in all the sunshine of a June morning, and the birds seem to chirp and twitter and sing because our little princess has got back again.
You dear. Steve, why couldn't you or Mr. Peavy have thought of that? I tell you all that you can take lessons in chivalry from our dear old RFD.
Puts on black apron and sleeves.
I was just going to say the same thing, but RF took the words right out of my mouth.
Miss Kate, this is our new boy, Mr. Goldie Wex.
Kate shaking hands.
So glad to meet you, Mr. Wex.
Yes, ma'am, much obliged. Merry Christmas.
Come into my office, Wex. I need you.
Exit right.
I hope you will like your work. If you want to know anything, just ask me.
I want to know how to wear store shoes without making my feet feel like old Tom Ginn. You see, I got 2 corns.
That'll do, my golden sunset. The postmaster wants you.
Yes, ma'am. Much obliged. Gee, I wish I was back on the farm.
Exit right.
Mail for 47, all up.
Takes sack and exits left. Kate crosses to Steve, speaks sympathetically.
Been having a good time, laddie, while I was away?
Not much doing. I missed you awfully, Kate. I always miss you when you go away.
RFD takes sack and quietly exits at left.
Do you, laddie?
You've been awfully good to me. You're the best friend a young fella ever had. I wish I could make you understand how much I appreciate all you've done for me. You made me give up my job in the shops and go to a business college at night. You got me my job here in the post office. Honest,
Now, you're trying to spoil me with your blarney. Haven't you doubly repaid me? By being honest and faithful and true? Mr. Reynolds thinks you are the best clerk on the force. He told me last month that he could trust you with anything.
Steve winces.
Did he say that?
Yes. And oh, laddie, how I have missed you. There wasn't a man at home who could dance like you can. What have you been doing for the 2 weeks I was away?
Well, not much. I've been kept pretty close here at the office during the holiday rush.
Comes to her at center.
Kate, you and I have been good friends for 6 years now, ever since that night at the church social, when I bought the lunch you raffled off. I took you home that night, remember?
Yes, 6 years ago. It doesn't seem that long, does it, lad?
We were just kids then, but we've been pals ever since. I never knew my mother or father. They died when I was a little fellow, and I was taken to a children's home. I never had a real friend until I met you. So it only seems natural to me to tell you all my plans for the future.
Your plans for the future?
Yes, Kate. I'm in love.
You? In love?
I'm not sure what she thinks about me. We've been awfully good friends, and I'm afraid to tell her how I feel, for fear it may break off our friendship.
Does she know that you care for her?
I think she guesses it.
Then she is more clever than I am. I never dreamed that you were in love, lad.
I get nearly 100 a month. Lots of fellows get married on that. It won't mean a big house or servants or a car, but...
Maybe she won't want a big house or servants or a car. Maybe all she wants is you, laddie. You and your love. A big house is such a nuisance to manage.
Honest? You think so? I could rent a little cottage with a yard and red roses and a porch. Do you think a girl could be content with that?
With roses and a porch? Oh, laddie!
Do you think she would listen to me?
It all depends on the girl. You haven't told me who she is yet.
She is an angel.
A post office angel?
In a way, yes. But she is so far above me, she has so much, and I have so little to offer.
Kate pauses as if turned to stone.
So much? She's wealthy, then?
Yes, it's Miss Reynolds.
Miss Reynolds?
Octavia. I have loved her from the first moment I ever saw her.
Kate slowly clenches her hands, fighting for self-control.
Miss Reynolds?
Breathes heavily.
Yes. You understand, don't you?
Yes, laddie. I understand. I understand.
Enter RFD from left.
The mail is all up.
All right.
Goes to left door.
Kate, be sure and wait for me at noon.
Exits left.
Shall I open the front stamp window for you, little princess?
Yes, please.
Exit RFD at left. Kate stands at center like a statue, then suddenly breaks down.
He loves Miss Reynolds. My laddie. My laddie.
Sobs.
My dream is over.
Totters to desk, sinks in chair and sobs on desk at left.
My dream is over.
Slow curtain. End of Act 1. Act 2 of Civil Service by Walter Ben Hare. Act 2. Same scene as Act 1. Time a week later at 11:50 a.m. Kate is discovered selling stamps at window at left. Peavy and Goldie working at table up center. Steve working at desk down right. Bright music takes up curtain and stops as soon as characters begin to speak. Lights on full throughout the act.
Seems to me it's about time to eat.
Steve looking at clock.
10 minutes yet, Goldie?
Gee, 10 minutes more to wait. I'm so hungry I could eat a crowbar if it was fried in batter. City folks don't get near as much to eat as country folks do. Wished I was back on the farm.
Say, young feller, you want to talk less and work more? Uncle Sam don't pay you to talk.
What you want me to do? Pretend I'm deaf and dumb? Nobody never says nothing again me talking on the farm.
It's a pity you ain't out there.
Enter Reynolds from right with open telegram in hand.
Say, I just got a telegram from the postmaster general.
Goldie down left center, open-mouthed.
Did he say anything about me?
Reynolds paying no attention to him.
We're to have a half holiday this afternoon.
Hooray! What's happened?
One of the big politicians is dead.
Good for him. I wish one of them would die every day.
Wex, run up the flag at half-mast. We'll close the office at noon. Peavy, I want to see you.
Exit right.
Yes, sir.
Exit right.
Goldie, go up and put the flag at half-mast.
Yes, sir.
Goes to left.
Ain't nothing to do but work.
At door.
Gee, I wish I was back on the farm.
Exit left. Steve crosses to Kate.
This half-holiday will do you good. You ought to take a good long sleep.
Oh, I'm all right, Steve. A good long sleep wouldn't do me any good.
What's the matter with you lately, Kate? You don't seem like your old self.
No, laddie, my old self is dead.
I'm awfully sorry. This has been the happiest week of my life.
Has Miss Reynolds given you her promise?
Well, not exactly, but I feel sure she cares for me. She allows me to take her everywhere.
I hope she loves you, laddie. I hope she will make you happy.
She's a wonderful girl, Kate. If only I was worthy of her.
You are. An honest, upright man is worthy of any woman he loves. And you are upright and honest, lad. You're white clear through.
Oh, you don't know. Maybe I'm not worth your high opinion.
You are. Maybe I know you better than you know yourself.
But Octavia is far above me. She's rich and accomplished.
And if she loves you truly, you have nothing to fear.
Yes, if she does. Sometimes I think she does, and then at other times I doubt it. I think that if she really cared for anyone else, that life wouldn't be worth living. I know I'm jealous, but it's the toughest thing in life to care for someone when you know they care for someone else.
Yes, laddie, that's the toughest thing in life.
Enter Octavia from left.
Oh, I beg your pardon. I hope I'm not intruding.
Steve rises.
Not at all. We were just talking about you. That is, I was.
About me? What were you saying?
Kate rises.
Mr. Ordain has been telling me his secret. He is like a brother to me, Miss Reynolds. I hope you will be very, very happy.
Oh, you mustn't say that.
No, Kate, you mustn't say that.
Why, it's perfectly absurd. We're not engaged, are we, Steve?
Not yet.
Don't be silly, Steve. You know we never could be engaged. Why, you couldn't keep me in gasoline.
No, that is, well...
Oh, I hope I haven't started anything.
And Steve knows that I'm engaged to someone else.
Engaged? To someone else?
Of course. Didn't you know?
No, I didn't know.
It hasn't been announced yet, but I thought Father had told you.
It isn't true, is it? Is it, Octavia?
Of course it is. It's just as well that you learned the truth at once.
Steve sinks in chair and buries face.
Oh, Octavia.
I never dreamed that you really cared. Now, don't make a scene, Steve. I hate scenes. And remember that there are just as good fish in the sea. Miss Kenyon, is Papa in his office?
Yes, Miss Reynolds, I believe he is.
Thank you so much.
Goes to door at right.
Poor old Steve. I thought you knew all the time.
Exit right. Kate crosses to Steve, puts her hand on his shoulder.
Steady, lad. I'm awfully sorry. I can't tell you how sorry I am.
Steve takes her hand, bows his head over it. Pronounced pause.
That's all right, Kate. Thank God all women are not like Octavia Reynolds.
Hush, lad, hush.
A flirt, a coquette, and I've risked my reputation to gratify her slightest desire. For her sake, I have committed crime.
Steve, Steve, what are you saying?
Enter Goldie from left.
I got the old flag up at half-mast, and I hope she stays there till the 4th of July. Say, ain't you folks gonna close the office?
Kate goes to window, pulls down shade.
Yes, Goldie, the office is closed.
I'm a-gonna take my girl to the movies this afternoon. I might be from the country, but I'm gonna show her I'm a sport. I'm gonna spend 15 cents.
Exit right.
Straighten up your desk, lad. We'll take a long walk. The air will do you good.
Steve rises.
No, Kate, I've got some business to see to. Maybe it's not too late for me to become an honest man.
Takes hat and exits at left.
An honest man? I wonder what he means. I wonder what he means.
Enter Goldie from right, carrying an official letter.
Say, Miss Kate,
What is it, Goldie?
here's a letter from Mr. Ira Troutman, Esquire. It's marked General Delivery, and it is an official envelope. Who's Mr. Ira Troutman, Esquire?
Kate takes letter.
I'll deliver it myself. I know Mr. Troutman.
Enter RFD from right.
Goldie, the postmaster wants to see you right away.
He does? Gee, he's always wanting me. Nothing to do around this office but work. As soon as my girl brings my lunch, I'm going to take her to the movies right away, before they find any more work for me to do. Gee, I wished I was back on the farm.
Exit right.
I've got something for you, R.F.
What you got, little princess?
A letter for Mr. Ira Troutman, Esquire.
A letter for me?
Here it is.
Gives him the letter.
It's a government letter. Something about my application for a homestead.
Goldie didn't know who Mr. Ira Troutman was.
Nope. So many folks call me RFD that sometimes I clean forget myself who Ira Troutman is.
Nobody knows but the postmaster and me.
It ain't necessary. Old RFD is a pretty good old name.
Opens letter, puts on old-fashioned spectacles, reads. Kate, after a pause.
Is it good news, R.F.?
The best in the world. I've been awarded a homestead way up in Montana. A little farm all to myself. Just me and old Bess.
Are you going to resign?
Yes, I reckon I be. I kinder hate to leave all of you. You certainly have been good to the old man, but I've always wanted a home, and now's my chance to get one. Then, when I find my boy, I'm going to have a home all ready for him.
And do you ever think you'll find him, R.F.?
Yes, little princess, I do. The Lord is good. I trust in him. Some day I'll find my boy.
What is his name, R.F.?
The same as mine, Ira Troutman, Jr., named after his pa.
I hope you'll find him. I do, with all my heart.
Thank you, little princess, thank you. You're the right sort. You're just the kind of a little girl I'd like to have for a daughter. Say, when I do find my boy, maybe he'll take a shine to you, and then you two would get married and we'd all move out there on my little homestead in Montana. How would you like that?
I'd love it, R.F., but I'll never marry anyone. I'm too busy to think about getting married.
Oh, hush. You'll change your mind when the right man comes along.
No, it's too late now. It's too late.
You don't mean that you've met the right man already?
I don't know.
Goes to him.
Oh, R.F., my heart is breaking.
He puts his arm around her as she sobs.
Oh, there, honey. Don't ye take on so. Don't ye. There never was a cloud yet too dark to have a silver lining. Remember, the Lord is good. You just keep on trustin' and hopin'. Leave it all to him, and everything is just naturally bound to come out all right. Now get on your coat and bonnet, and I'll take you for a little ride with old Bess.
But...
Now, don't argue with me. The air will do you good, and old Bess is just pinin' to lickety-cut out into the country. Come on, honey.
Enter Peavy from right.
Hello, RF. Where are you going?
we're going for a little spin out in the country.
Puts on hat.
Gee, RF's getting pretty spry for an old fellow. You're cutting us all out, RF?
I can't help it if the girls take a shine to me. I might be nigh on to 70, but I'm still in the ring. I'm still in the ring.
Exit out left with Kate.
No fool like an old fool. Well, we got a half holiday today. Guess I'll go home and have a fuss with my wife.
Enter Bertie Bivens from left. She enters bashfully, carrying a lunch basket.
Good morning.
Morning.
Can I come in?
Looks like you're in already. What do you want?
Bertie bashfully twists foot.
Him.
What him? The woods is full of hymns.
You know, I mean Goldie, the new boy, Mr. Wex. That's him, Mr. Goldie Wex.
Gee whiz. This here mailing room's getting to be a regular lover's paradise.
Is he here?
Yep. He's around somewheres.
Bertie comes to him, speaks confidentially.
Say, he's an awful cute feller, ain't he? Some girls don't like redheads, but Mama says that seeing as how I ain't no $10,000 beauty myself, that I can't be too particular. I'm kinder crazy about Goldie.
You must be crazy to be crazy about him.
Of course, I know he ain't no dude, and he's got freckles and pigeon toes and brick-colored hair, but his heart's in the right place.
What do you want him for?
I brung his lunch. I work over at his aunt's boarding house.
Well, he'll be here in a minute.
Say, mister, he ain't got a regular job, is he?
No, he's only a substitute.
Will he ever get a steady job?
I don't know, I'm sure.
He's a rural free deliverer, ain't he?
Yes.
Does a rural free deliverer make enough money to get married on?
That all depends. How much would you think necessary?
Well, I wouldn't marry no man who didn't make at least $10 a week. And I'd a brother he'd be making 12. Some folks say that love and kisses is all that's necessary. Well, it may be for some, but love and kisses ain't very fillin' for the stomach. I ain't going to marry no man who ain't got a steady job and $10 a week.
Maybe Goldie don't want to get married.
Of course he don't. No man never wants to get married, at first. A girl has to lead him up to it. Say, mister, do you know whether he likes roast pork? His aunt said he didn't. Well, we didn't have no other kind of meat, so I brung him some anyhow. Now there's me, I like roast pork, so he might just as well begin to get used to liking the things that I like. I ain't going to pamper no man.
Enter Goldie from right.
Hello, Bertie.
Hello, Goldie. I brung your lunch.
Much obliged.
Looks at Peavy.
Morning, Mr. Peavy.
Peavy working at table.
Morning.
Bertie at left.
Ain't you glad to see me, Goldie?
Goldie at right bashfully twists foot.
Kinda.
Is that all? And I brung your lunch clean over here in all this snow.
Darn it, of course I'm glad.
Looks at Peavy.
Morning, Mr. Peavy.
What's eating you?
Don't the postmaster want to see you or something?
Say, are you running this post office or not? You ain't no boss of mine. If you want to kiss that girl, go outside and do it.
Why, you old hippopotamus. Goldie Wex, are you going to stand there and let that there man insult me afore your very face?
No, I ain't.
Throws off his coat.
Darn you, Sim Peavy, you gotta fight.
Dances around, sparring, springing back and forward. Peavy alarmed.
Hold on. I got to see the postmaster.
Exit right.
Goldie, you're a regular hero.
Extends both arms.
Bertie, come on home and roost.
Extends arms. Bertie runs toward him. Enter Inspector Cochran from left.
Here.
Darn it.
What's going on here?
Goldie sparring at him as before.
Come on and fight.
What's the matter with you? Are you crazy?
Say, who are you?
I'm the post office inspector.
Good night. Come on, Bertie, we'll eat our lunch in front.
Out in the snow?
What's the difference? Here's where I lose my job. Come on.
Start left with Bertie, she protesting.
Where's the postmaster?
In the office.
Enter Mrs. Jeffs. She bumps into Goldie, who is about to exit left with Bertie.
What are you trying to do? Murder me?
Say, you let me alone. My fighting blood is up.
Spars at her. Mrs. Jeffs hits him with umbrella.
There. Take that. I want to see the postmaster.
Can't be did. He's locking up. And this is a half holiday.
Exits left with Bertie.
I don't care what he's doing. I'm going to see him, and I don't want no backtalk. I'm going to have every man in this post office arrested, from the postmaster down. I've been robbed.
What's that?
I've been robbed. Robbed right here in this post office.
What do you mean?
I mailed a letter here last week, and I put two $50 bills in it. It was to the McChesney Real Estate Company at Milford. Well, they got the letter, but my $100 had been taken out. Right here in this post office. I'm going to write to the congressman. I'm going to write to the president. I'm going to have the whole office force arrested.
In front of chair at left.
Sit down.
Sit down? Say, do you know who you are talking to?
Sit down.
Mrs. Jeffs sits.
I'm down.
Now, what's your name?
Mrs. T.R. Jeffs. My husband is connected with the National Bank. He's a member of the City Council and the Chief Imperial Potentate of the Wooden Men of the World.
You said you mailed a letter last week containing $100.
Yes, two $50 bills.
Was it registered?
No, sir.
Why not?
I wasn't going to pay the 10 cents extra to register it. I didn't think it was necessary. And that's just what I told Jake Reynolds. I says to him,
What day did you mail the letter?
I think it was a Saturday. Or maybe on a Monday or Tuesday.
Thinks.
Still, it might have been on a Wednesday or the Thursday or Friday before. I never was no hand for remembering dates.
Cochrane making notes in small book.
Was it mailed before Christmas?
No, sir, afterwards. 2 days after Christmas.
Cochrane making note.
On Saturday, then.
Yes, sir.
Did you mail the letter on the street?
No, sir. I mailed it right here in this room. I put it there in that box myself.
Then none of the city carriers had anything to do with it. Aha, that narrows the case. How did you happen to mail it here?
Because I was afraid I might lose the $100. And now I've lost it. And Theodore will blame it all on me. I brought it to the postmaster and wanted him to take charge of it. But he insulted me. He called me an old gobbler.
Who saw you mail the letter?
The young fellow who sells the special deliveries.
Mr. Audane?
Yes, that's him. But I'm sure he ain't the one. He's too good-looking. I know he wouldn't take a cent.
Who else knew about the $100?
The postmaster, and that red-headed imp who tried to assault and batter me just now. And he said I was an old gobbler, too. I never seen such an insulting post office. I ain't casting no suspicions, Mr. Inspector, but I feel certain that he's the one who took my money.
You mean Mr. Wex?
I don't know whether he's a Wex or not, but I'll bet a donut he's a scallywag. I never did like red-headed men nohow.
Was there anyone else around when you mailed the letter?
I ain't sure.
Was Miss Kenyon here?
I don't remember. Maybe she was. But I wouldn't swear to it.
Was Mr. Peavy here?
No, he wasn't. He was shooting craps in the grocery store. I saw him on my way home.
Do you know Mr. Audane very well?
Not so very well. But I know he didn't take my money. Why, he moves with the best society in town. Folks say he's going to marry the postmaster's daughter. He gives her the loveliest presents. Their hired girl told my daughter Toosie that he gave her a diamond necklace for a birthday present.
Cochrane with closed lips signifying suspicion.
But that red-headed imp is a new man here in town. I got my suspicions about him. On Monday morning, he put $80 in the bank.
How did you know that?
My husband said so. He works in the bank.
Cochrane making notes.
So, Wex deposited $80 on Monday, did he?
Yes, he did. And where did he get it? That's what I want to know. Where did he get?
Rises.
That's just what I'm going to find out. That will be all, Mrs. Jeffs.
Can you send me my $100 this afternoon?
I'm afraid not, but I'll do the best I can.
You'd better, or I'll have every man in the whole post office arrested, from postmaster down.
I'll probably send for you later. Now, go home and don't worry. And above all, don't tell a soul about this matter.
All right, I'll do as you say.
Goes to door at left.
But I ain't going to lose a cent of that money, even if I have to write to the president. I ain't going to lose a cent.
Exit left. Enter Reynolds from right.
Why, hello, Cochran. Glad to see you.
Shakes hands.
No work this afternoon. Just got orders to close the office for half a day.
Yes, I heard about it.
Come and join me for lunch. We'll go out to the country club.
I don't think we'll have time for lunch. Reynolds, I guess you and I'll be pretty busy this afternoon.
Busy? What do you mean?
I mean that you have a thief here in your office.
A thief in my office?
Yes, pretty bad case. $100 has been taken from a letter. It looks pretty bad.
Reynolds gives a low whistle of surprise.
Mrs. T.R. Jeffs has filed a complaint.
I know her. I remember her mailing a letter containing that amount.
Well, someone here in the office has taken it.
But who?
That's what we are going to find out this afternoon.
She mailed the letter last Saturday. Mailed it in here.
That lets all the carriers out.
Yes, it does.
Who saw her mail it? Who saw the money?
I'm not sure, but I think the new substitute, Goldie Wex, was here, and Steve Aldane. I don't remember whether Miss Kenyon was here or not. That was the day she got back home.
Who is this new substitute, Wex?
A green country boy, right off the farm.
Mm-hmm. Maybe he ain't as green as he looks. How about Steve Aldane?
As honest as the day is long. Steve wouldn't touch a cent.
Sure.
Perfectly.
How long has he worked here?
About 4 years.
Where'd he come from?
He worked in the railroad shops before he entered the service. Miss Kenyon took an interest in him. He went to night school, and she helped him pass his examination.
Did this letter pass through his hands?
I don't know.
Has he got any bad habits?
I don't think so. He's one of the most popular boys in town.
Does he live within his means?
Reynolds hesitates.
Well,
Come on, come clean. Does he or don't he?
I don't know.
He's a pretty good spender, ain't he?
I believe he has that reputation.
I understand he is very attentive to your daughter.
Oh, they're good friends, that's all. Octavia is engaged to a young man in the city.
And now, how about this new boy, Wex? How long has he been here?
He came to work last Saturday.
Aha!
Makes note.
On the very day the money was taken.
That's right.
Has he any money?
Not much.
He isn't paid in advance, is he?
No, sir.
Are his people wealthy?
I think not.
And yet he placed $80 in the bank on Monday.
He did?
I guess he's our man, Reynolds.
It doesn't seem possible. And yet...
Well, someone took that money. You don't suspect Miss Kenyon, do you?
Good heavens, no. I'd as soon suspect my own daughter.
Any of your men bothered with collectors?
I don't know.
Ever have any collectors call here?
Yes. A Miss Goldstein was here last Saturday.
Mm-hmm. Who was she looking for?
I don't know. I saw her as she went out.
I wonder if she was after this young Wex.
I don't know.
Where is her office?
Just across the square.
Get your hat. We'll go over and see her.
All right.
Gets hat and overcoat.
This is a bad business.
We'll get him all right. I think I could put my hand on the thief this minute.
Enter Goldie and Bertie from left. Goldie to the postmaster.
Say, boss, me and my girl's going to the moving picture show this afternoon. You don't need me no more, do you?
Yes, we do.
Oh, darn. Say, this is a half holiday.
I guess we won't take a holiday today.
I ain't going to work on no holiday. I'm going to the picture show.
Oh, no, you ain't.
Say, you ain't my boss.
Wex, this is the inspector.
I don't give a hang if he is. I'm gonna resign. I don't like this job nohow. I'm going back on the farm, me and Bertie.
You stay here till we come back. Understand? You stay here. You're to do as I say. Understand?
Yes, sir. Darn it. I wish I was back on the farm.
Come on, Reynolds.
Exit left, followed by Reynolds.
Gee, that man sure is bossy. I wish I was back on the farm.
Ain't we going to get to go to the movies at all?
How do I know? More'n likely that old inspector'll make me scrub out the whole darn post office. I don't see what he has to come butting in for. Sit down, Bertie, and rest your feet.
Bertie sits at right.
Ain't no fun sitting down here. And they've got a perfectly splendiferous show on this afternoon at the movies. Blue-blooded Mike, terror of the Dead Man's Gulch. Gee, this is tough luck.
Enter Kate and RFD from left.
That certainly was a fine ride.
Removes hat and coat.
Say, you ain't gonna work this afternoon, are you, little princess?
Not much. Just a few accounts to balance. Then we'll take another ride.
I'll go down and look at the furnace.
Exits right.
What are you doing here, Goldie?
Inspector ordered me to wait till he comes back.
The inspector? Is he here?
Yep, darn him. We have to work, even on a half holiday. Gee, I wish I was back on the farm.
I wonder what the inspector is doing here.
Just butting in, that's what he's doing. Won't give me and my girl a chance to go to the movies.
Enter Steve Audane from left.
Feel better, Steve?
Steve, hanging up coat and hat.
Yes, Kate? Everything is all right. I feel better now than I've been for months.
I'm so glad.
Works at books at left.
Hello, Steve. Let me make you acquainted with my lady friend, Miss Bertie Bivens.
Pleased to meet you, Miss Bivens.
Bertie giggles.
Much obliged.
To Goldie.
Ain't he the sweetest thing?
Goldie swells up chest, struts across right.
Oh, I don't know. There are others. There are others.
Enter Cochrane and Reynolds from left.
Good afternoon, Mr. Cochrane.
Afternoon, Miss Kenyon. How do you do, Steve?
How do you do, Inspector?
I'm going to use this room for a little while. Kate, you and Steve can work in the postmaster's private office.
Kate rises, gathers up work.
Yes, sir.
Exit right.
I'll want you presently, Steve.
Steve, frightened.
Yes, sir. I'll be there.
Exit right.
Come on, Bertie. Now I guess we can go to the movies.
I guess you can't. Young man, you wait right here.
And what'll I be doing?
You can wait too.
No, sir. I ain't gonna wait no longer. I'm going out for a holiday.
If you go out, you'll go with a policeman. You are under arrest.
Arrest?
That's what I said.
Oh, you're kidding me. You ain't no policeman.
Oh, Goldie, what have you been and gone and done?
I ain't done nothing.
Go in there and wait, young woman. I'll call you when I want you.
What must I do, Goldie?
Go on in and wait. And don't let 'em scare you. I ain't scared.
Oh, Goldie, are you arrested for sure enough?
Nah, there's nothing to it. Go on and wait.
All right, Goldie.
Exits right. Cochrane, seated at left, smoking cigar.
Come here, young man.
Yes, sir.
Crosses to left and sits.
Stand up.
Yes, sir.
Stands. Reynolds sits at rear.
Now, what did you do with the money?
What money?
The money you stole. The two $50 bills you took from that letter.
I never took no two $50 bills from no letter.
Don't lie to me. We've got the goods on you. Understand? We've got you just where we want you.
I ain't no thief. I never took no money.
Don't lie to me. I want you to tell the truth, and you're going to tell it. Understand? You're going to confess the whole thing before you get out of this room.
I ain't got nothing to confess.
You saw Mrs. Jeffs put that money in the letter, didn't you?
No, sir, I didn't.
You saw her mail the letter. We know you did. And we know you took that letter and took out those bills. I ain't got all day to fool with this case. The best thing you can do is to come clean. Understand?
I never took no money.
What's your name?
Goldie Wax.
How long you worked here?
Since last Saturday.
What day was the money stolen?
I don't know.
Yes, you do. It was stolen on Saturday. Understand? That money was stolen on the very day you came to work here.
I can't help that. I never stole no money.
Did you ever steal anything else?
No, sir. Nothing but apples and things like that.
Cochrane to Reynolds.
You hear him? He admits being a thief. He says he is a thief.
I don't neither. I only stole some apples out in the country. Every boy does that. There ain't been no thief.
If you stole apples, you would steal money. Now, you did steal those bills from that letter, didn't you?
No, sir, I did not.
Ever been arrested before?
No, sir.
Have you had any money since you've worked here?
No, sir.
You lie. You deposited $80 in the bank on Monday morning, didn't you?
Goldie, confused.
Yes, sir. You see, it was this way.
That'll do. I've caught you in a lie. You are a liar as well as a thief. You stole $100 and put 80 in the bank. What did you do with the rest of the money?
I never stole nothing. My pa give me that $80.
Don't try to lie any more. It won't do you no good. The best thing for you to do is to make a full confession. That'll save us all a lot of trouble. Understand? We've got the goods on you, but we want a confession.
I ain't gonna make no confession. I never stole nothing.
We know you put $80 in the bank on Monday morning.
I did. My pa sold a brown heifer and a couple of old sows and give me the money. That's where the $80 come from.
Why did you wait till Monday morning to put it in the bank?
I don't know.
I know. Because you didn't have it till Saturday. You didn't get a chance to steal from the post office until Saturday. Now, for the last time, are you going to make a confession? Come on now. Are you? For the last time. If you don't, it's the county jail for yours. The marshal is waiting outside. Come on now. For the last time. I'm giving you your last chance.
I won't confess to nothing I didn't do. I never stole no money. Honest, I never stole nothing.
That'll do. Stand over there.
Points to rear center.
Are you going to put me in jail?
Shut up. I gave you your chance, and you didn't take it. It's all up with you. Reynolds, call in the others.
Exit Reynolds at right.
Oh, gee. I'm wishing I was back on the farm.
Enter Reynolds from right with Kate, Steve, Bertie, Peavy, and RFD. Kate and Steve come down right. RFD and Bertie go to Goldie. Peavy and Reynolds up left. Cochrane still seated down left, smoking stump of cigar.
Peavy, come here.
Yes, sir.
Goes to center quickly.
Do you know this man, Wex?
Yes, sir.
Know anything about his habits?
Well, he's kind of quarrelsome. Always trying to pick a scrap.
Does he spend much money?
I don't know.
Ever try to borrow any money from you?
No, sir.
Did anyone on the force ever try to borrow any money from you?
Yes, sir.
Who was it?
Mr. Audane.
Did you lend it to him?
Yes, sir.
How much?
$98. It's been running since the 1st of November.
Has he paid anything yet?
Yes, sir. He paid me $20 last Saturday afternoon.
That'll do.
Peavy joins Reynolds.
Miss Kenyon?
Yes, sir.
Comes to center.
Anyone on the force ever borrow anything from you?
No, sir.
I might as well tell you all that there has been a robbery committed in this post office. On last Saturday morning, 2 $50 bills were taken from a letter. Do you know anything about it?
No, sir. I don't think I do.
What do you mean, don't think you do? Do you or don't you?
No, sir, I don't.
Have you any idea who took that money?
Kate staggers slightly.
What's the matter with you?
I feel faint. May I have some water?
Exit RFD at right.
What do you want with water? Come on now, I want the truth. Understand? Do you suspect anyone?
Oh, Mr. Cochrane,
Staggers. Enter RFD bearing glass of water. No, this glass must be thin, to shatter easily. RFD goes to Kate and gives her a drink. He then returns to center at rear, standing with the glass in his hand.
I don't want to be hard on you, Miss Kenyon. No one suspects you. I guess we know where the thief is, all right. All right? That'll do, Miss Kenyon.
Kate goes to right.
Mr. Audane?
Steve comes to center.
Yes, sir.
Know anything about this case?
No, sir.
You lie, Steve Audane. You stole that $100.
I...
You saw Mrs. Jeffs put that letter in that box. You heard her say she put $100 in it. You've been squandering your money for the past 2 months. You were in debt up to your neck. You stole that letter. You opened it. You stole that $100.
I did not.
You did. Where did you get the money to pay Peavy that $20? Where did you get the money to make a payment to Miss Goldstein? We've got you, understand? We've got you.
It's all a mistake. I never took the money.
No. Steve.
Sinks in chair at right. Steve goes to her.
Kate, you don't believe this, do you?
Young man, I'm sorry for you. You've had a hard life. Now the thing for you to do is to come clean and confess. Let me see. You came from the orphan asylum, didn't you?
Yes, sir.
Know who your father or mother are?
No, sir.
Don't even know your real name, do you?
Yes, sir. My real name is Ira Troutman.
RFD at center rear drops glass to floor where it shatters. All look at him. He trembles, collects himself, comes down center and looks appealingly at Cochrane.
Don't go no further, Inspector. That boy never stole the money. I'm the man you want. I'm the thief. I stole that $100.
You?
Yes, my record's agin me. I spent 15 years in prison for stealing from a post office. The temptation was too strong. Take me away, Inspector. Take me away.
Tableau and slow curtain. End of Act 2. Act 3 of Civil Service by Walter Ben Hare. Act 3. Same scene as Acts 1 and 2. Time 6 o'clock the next morning. Slow, sad music at the rise of the curtain. Cochrane discovered seated at left, smoking a cigar stump. After curtain is well up, there is a slight pause, then the clock strikes 6. Cochrane starts, looks at the clock, looks at his watch.
6 o'clock. Time for breakfast. The old man hasn't slept a wink all night. Poor devil. This'll mean 5 years for him, and he'll never live to get his liberty. What fools some men are, and all for a paltry $100.
Knock heard at door left.
Come in.
Enter Goldie and Bertie from left. They come down center, Bertie carrying a lunch basket.
Good morning, mister.
Morning.
We've brought some breakfast over for Mr. R.F.
All right.
Can we see him?
What you want to see him for?
To tell him how sorry we are for him. Poor old man. Just think, Goldie, it might have been you.
Yes, it might. Darn you, Inspector. If it hadn't been for my lady friend here, I'd have come over this morning and told you what I thought of you. You knowed all the time I never took that money.
Well, this ought to be a lesson to you, young man.
It was. I'm resigned right now. I'm gonna get married. Me and Bertie.
Now, Goldie, hush. This here man don't want to hear none of our private matrimonial affairs.
And we're going back to live on the farm.
That's the best thing you can do. I'm afraid you never was cut out for a city man, Wex.
Oh, I guess I could be if I wanted to.
Of course you could. You could be anything you wanted to be, Goldie. I think you are simply perfect.
Is Mr. R.F. got up yet?
Yes, he's in there. You can go right in.
Much obliged. Come on, Bertie.
Exit right.
Yes, darling, I'm a-comin'.
Exit right.
He's going to marry the girl he loves. You don't know how lucky he is.
Enter Reynolds from right.
Morning, Cochrane.
You're up pretty early for Sunday morning.
What kind of a night did RF pass?
He didn't sleep a wink. The marshal said he just sat still the whole night through. It's pretty tough on the old man, Reynolds. 5 years. Too bad. Too bad.
He's nearly 70 years old, and he's an old soldier. If he is sent up for 5 years, he'll die before next Christmas. And I don't believe he stole that money.
What's that?
I think he's crazy. Or maybe he's trying to shield someone else.
Nonsense. Men don't go to prison for 5 years to shield someone else. That only happens in novels.
What is he doing now?
Wex is in there with some breakfast for him.
I won't go in then. I'll come over later.
Enter Kate from left.
Mr. Reynolds, I've been looking for you. I went to your house and they told me you'd come over here.
Morning, Miss Kenyon.
Good morning.
I'll just step in the next room.
Exit right.
What do you want, Kate?
I have $150 in the bank. See, here is my book showing that much to my credit. But this is Sunday and I can't draw it out. I want you to cash a check for me for $150.
Why, I haven't that much here. If you'll come up to the house, I can get it for you.
Thank you.
But why do you want it today? Why not wait till tomorrow?
Please don't ask any questions, Mr. Reynolds. Please?
All right. If there's anyone in the world that is worthy of trust, Kate Kenyon, you are that person. Come on.
Exit left.
Thank you.
Follows him off, left. Enter Cochrane from right, followed by Goldie and Bertie.
I think I'll go out to breakfast.
Poor old man wouldn't eat a bite. It's too bad. And I brung him some roast pork sandwiches and dried apple pie and a whole pickled pig's foot, and he couldn't eat a bite.
And just think, Bertie, it might have been me in there with handcuffs on my hands, all ready to go to prison.
Oh, don't, Goldie. If they'd have took you off to prison, it would have broke my heart in two.
Goldie crosses to Cochrane.
Say, Mr. Inspector, I want to ask you a question.
All right, go ahead.
You're an officer of the law, ain't you?
Something like that.
Well then, how much does it cost to get a license? That's what I want to know.
Bertie, close to Goldie, at his right.
Yes, sir. That's what he wants to know.
A license? What kind of a license? A dog license?
No, sir. We ain't no dogs. A wedding license.
Oh, a wedding license.
Yes, sir. We're gonna buy one of them things and get married with it, just like other folks.
It'll cost you about $2.
$2? Gee whiz. Kinder expensive, ain't it? Well, doggone it, Bertie's worth $2. I'd get one if it cost me as much as $2.50.
That's right. What's $2, Goldie?
Now, don't you get extravagant notions or I won't get married to you at all. I ain't no millionaire.
I know a feller that works over at the courthouse. He's the second janitor. Maybe he can get us a license at a reduction. Come on, Goldie. I gotta wait on table for breakfast. We can't stay here all day.
Takes his arm.
We'll see you later, Inspector.
Here, you carry this basket.
That's just the way. I might as well be a married man already.
They go out left, arm in arm. Cochrane, seated at left.
A pair of young fools, and yet they have found the greatest thing in all the world. Love, happiness, and a home.
Muses.
The greatest thing in all the world.
Enter Kate from left.
Mr. Cochrane, I want to speak to you.
Cochrane rises.
Yes, Miss Kate, and I want to speak to you.
Takes off hat and throws cigar in cuspidor.
How is R.F. this morning? The poor old man.
He's as well as you could expect.
Isn't there any way out of this for him?
Nothing doing. He committed a crime, made a confession, and will have to suffer the penalty.
What is the penalty?
He'll get about 5 years.
5 years in the penitentiary. It is horrible. He's an old man. He'll never live to have his liberty.
He ought to have thought of that before he robbed the government mail. Say, Miss Kate, will you marry me?
What?
I said, will you marry me?
Marry you? Why, Mr. Cochrane, is that a conundrum or a joke?
It ain't either. It's a serious proposition. I've been in love with you for 3 years, ever since I first saw you. I don't offer you a boy's love. I bring you the devotion of a lifetime. True love comes only once to a man, Kate, and it has come to me.
I'm so surprised, Mr. Cochrane. I never dreamed anything like this. I never knew you cared for me.
You've had a pretty hard life, Kate. Every woman does who has to work for her own living. Maybe I could make things easier for you. I make a pretty good salary, and I ain't home much.
You have done me a great honor, Mr. Cochrane. The greatest honor any man can do to a woman. But
But
I'm afraid...
you can't accept my offer. I'm sorry.
And so am I, for I feel sure that you're a good, honorable man.
But can't you give me a trial? Don't answer now. Let me come back in a couple of months.
It wouldn't be any use.
Is there someone else?
I...
Cochrane controls himself with difficulty.
I see. That's enough. He's a lucky man, Miss Kate. I hope you will be very happy.
You don't understand. I never intend to marry anyone.
What?
No, Mr. Cochrane. The man I care for doesn't care for me. So, you see...
Yes, I see. Isn't there a chance for me, then? You'd better marry a man who loves you than marry a man you love.
Oh, I can't. I can't. Please, Mr. Cochrane.
All right. But if you ever need a friend, Miss Kate, no matter what happens, no matter what goes wrong, remember that there is one man in this world who believes in you, and who would come from the other end of the earth to help you.
You are so good.
Good? Me? Hell no, I ain't good. I'm just a plumb fool, that's all. Just a plumb fool.
You are a true and upright man. This is the proudest moment in my life, Mr. Cochrane, when you asked me to become your wife.
Yes, but you wouldn't do it.
I couldn't. But I will always look upon you as one of my best and closest friends.
That's right, Miss Kenyon. That's just what I'm going to be.
Would it be possible for me to see R.F. for a few minutes?
Why, of course. He's in there.
Thank you.
Starts to door, turns at door, comes back to Cochrane at center.
Mr. Cochrane?
Yes?
RFD never stole that money. He's innocent.
What do you mean?
I have the $100 here.
Shows two $50 bills.
Where did you get it?
If the money is paid back to Mrs. Jeffs, wouldn't it be possible to let the whole matter drop?
Let the matter drop? Impossible.
But the money would have been paid back. No one would lose anything. Why should it be necessary to send this old man to the penitentiary, to his death, when everybody would be satisfied without?
That wouldn't be justice.
It would be mercy, and mercy is higher than justice.
Where did you get that $100? Come on, tell me. Are those the bills that were taken from that envelope? Is this the money that was stolen?
Mr. Cochrane, you just told me that whenever I needed a friend to come to you. I take you at your word. Now is the time. I do need a friend. Oh, I do. Take this money, Mr. Cochrane, give it to Mrs. Jeffs, and let this poor old man go free.
Cochrane hesitates, then straightens up and speaks decisively.
You don't realize what you are asking. My sworn duty to the government.
But RFD isn't guilty. He never stole that money.
He confessed.
He made that confession to shield someone else.
How do you know that?
Because... Oh, don't you see? Can't you understand?
My God, Kate Kenyon, did you take that money?
Kate looks at him, sinks in chair, bows head, and weeps. Cochrane, astounded.
A thief? You? A thief? Oh, I don't believe it.
Back to audience.
I can't believe it.
Bows head.
You said you loved me.
And so I do. But there is one thing higher than love, Kate, and that is duty. I've got to do my duty.
Kate rises.
Then I am ready. Mr. Cochrane, do your duty.
Pronounced pause. He standing with back to audience, she with her arms held imploringly toward him. Cochrane turns, comes to her.
Miss Kenyon, will you be my wife?
Kate, surprised.
Your wife?
You need me now as you never have needed me before. No matter what you have done, in spite of this thing, in spite of all the world, I love you. Let me help you. Will you be my wife?
You think me a thief, and yet you are willing to make me your wife?
Everyone makes mistakes. I don't love you for what you have done. I love you because you are you. There isn't a man or a woman living who hasn't done things that would have been better left undone. I know you will do right from now on. Let me help you. That's all I want. You need me. Let me help you.
Enter RFD from right.
Little princess, I knowed you'd come. I knowed you'd come.
Cochrane crosses to right.
Think over what I have said, Miss Kate, and when you want me, I will be ready for you.
Exit right. Kate comforting RFD.
Oh, RF, I am so sorry. I am so sorry.
Now don't you take on, little princess. It's all for the best. The Lord is good. I put my trust in Him.
But why did you confess, RF? Why did you take all the burden of this crime upon yourself?
I was tempted and I fell. I wanted the money.
You never stole that money.
Princess!
You are assuming the guilt of another. You are willing to go to prison that the guilty man shall go free. You are giving up your liberty. You are giving up your very life for someone else.
What greater love hath a man than this, that he lay down his life for a friend?
You are doing this for him, for your son, for Steve O'Dane.
Yes, little princess, you know my secret. I am doing it for my boy. You recognize the name the same as I did. Ira Troutman. Just to think that Steve is my little boy. But this must be our secret. He must never know. You won't tell him. Promise me that he shall never know that I am his father.
But why?
I wouldn't want my boy to know his father was a thief. You see, I ain't nothing at all. Just only old RFD. Now, honey, you just let things go on like they are. I'll go away to prison, and my boy'll never know.
Enter Steve Audain from left.
R.F. Kate.
Steve.
I want to speak with R.F. Kate. I've something to say to him that must be said at once.
I understand, laddie, and I honour you for it. I have a plan. All may yet be well.
Cross to left.
I'll be back soon. Tell Mr. Cochrane that I'll be back soon and give him his answer.
Exit left. Steve, after a pause, goes to RFD, takes his handcuffed hands.
Why did you do it?
There, boy. Now, you go away and let the old man alone. I'd rather not talk about it.
I can't go away. Why have you made this sacrifice for me? You know I took that money, and yet you said you were the thief. All through the night one word has rung in my ears. Go where I would, do what I would, I could only hear one word. Coward, coward, coward.
Breaks down and sobs. RFD, putting his arms around him.
There, lad. Don't take on so. Don't ye?
I was hopelessly in debt. I squandered my money. I was a spendthrift, and I became a thief.
Oh, it all comes back to me. 16 years ago. I know, lad. I know.
I've been a weak, foolish boy. Now I'm a man. Do you think I will allow you to go to prison for my crime? Do you think I could stay here with that word, coward, ringing always in my ears? I'm going in there and see the inspector. I'm going to tell him the truth.
You are not. I am an old man, boy, and I ain't got long to live. You? Why, you got your whole life before you. If you went to prison, it would ruin you forever. It ain't right. You're young and have all your life before you. Let me go in your place. Please, lad, please. You stay right here and repay me.
How could I ever repay such a sacrifice?
By living straight and noble and upright, just as I would want my own boy to live. Some time, when you are tempted to do wrong again, just you think of me out there in the prison, praying for you, loving you, and trusting in you.
But why are you doing this all for me?
Why? Because I am your father.
Steve kneels at his feet.
My father?
Other men give their boys good advice and money and a good start in life. I ain't got no money to give you, lad, nor no name. I ain't got nothing to give my boy. Only one thing, my liberty. That's what I'll give you, boy, my liberty.
No, no, I'll never allow you to go back to prison. I've been blind to a good woman's love, blind to Kate Kenyon's devotion, blind to your sacrifice. But now I see.
Rises.
I see my duty, and I'm going to do it.
RFD, alarmed.
Where are you going?
I'm going to the inspector. I'm going to prison.
Enter Cochrane from right.
Morning, Steve.
Mr. Cochrane, there is something I want to say to you. This man...
Points to RFD. Enter Kate from left.
Steve, what are you doing?
RFD at right center to Cochrane, who is at right.
Don't listen to him, Inspector. Don't listen to him.
Mr. Cochrane, I have something to say to you at once. I am willing to do anything, to make any sacrifice.
Enter Mrs. Jeffs from left.
I want to see the man who stole my money.
Mrs.
Jeffs.
Yes, Mrs. Jeffs. Oh, good morning, Kate.
Mr. Cochrane, I want to speak to Mrs. Jeffs. Please, Mr. Cochrane, let me speak with her. Steve, R.F., don't say anything until I talk with Mrs. Jeffs. Please, Mr. Cochrane, for my sake.
All right, Miss Kate. Come, R.F.
Exit right.
Trust in the Lord, little princess. Everything is bound to come out right if you only trust in Him.
Exit right.
Steve, wait for me outside.
I'm determined to do the right thing at last, Kate.
I knew you would, laddie. I knew you would.
I'll wait for you.
Exit left.
Mrs. Jeffs, do you think RFD stole your money?
I don't want to think so. He's such a nice old man, and he's an old soldier. I don't know what to think.
If RF goes to prison for 5 years, he will never survive his sentence. Think of that old man going to prison, away from all the world, for 5 years.
Oh, ain't it awful? And he's such a kind old man, too.
See, Mrs. Jeffs, here is $100.
My money?
If your money is returned to you, you wouldn't send RF to prison, would you? Would you?
Well,
You wouldn't. You couldn't. See, here is the money, every cent of it. You wouldn't send an old soldier to prison for life, would you?
Gives it to her.
Now the life of RF is in your hands.
What do you want me to do?
Do what you think is right.
I'm going to do my duty. No one can ever say that Mrs. T.R. Jeffs failed to do her duty. Inspector, Mr. Cochrane.
No, no, Mrs. Jeffs. Have mercy.
You mind your own business. Inspector!
What are you going to do?
I am going to do what is right. Cochrane!
Enter Cochrane from right, followed by RFD. Enter Steve Aldane from left.
Do you want me?
Yes, I do. Say, you got old RFD there arrested for stealing my money, ain't you?
Yes.
And do you think he is a thief? Do you think that poor old man took that $100?
Cochrane looks at Kate, still suspecting her.
I don't know.
Well, he ain't. He never stole my $100 because it never was stole.
Never was stolen.
I'm awfully sorry to have caused you all this trouble. I found my $100 this morning in a pocket of my new purple coat. I thought I had mailed it to the real estate company, but I forgot to put it in the letter. Nobody never stole no money at all, because I had it all the time.
Are you speaking the truth?
Do you mean to call me a liar to my face? Look here. Here's the very 2 identical $50 bills. Take them handcuffs off that old man. Why, you ought to be ashamed of yourself. And him an old soldier. Now, I can go home and get my breakfast in peace.
Goes to door at left. Meets Steve.
Get out of my way.
Turns at door.
I guess that's all. I certainly am glad I found that money.
Exits left. Cochrane removes handcuffs from RFD.
So she never lost her money after all.
Shakes hands with RFD.
I'm mighty glad for your sake. This is a case that will never be reported to the post office department.
Comes down to Kate, shakes hands with her.
And I'm mighty glad for your sake. No matter what has happened, I'll always be your friend.
Shakes hands with Steve.
Boy, you're a lucky devil. Guess I'll go out and get some breakfast. Good morning.
Exit left with hat.
And it's all coming out all right after all. I knowed it would. Boy, we'll resign from the civil service. We'll all go out to Montana and be as happy as bees on my little homestead.
Steve comes to Kate.
My trouble has opened my eyes to the beauty and nobleness of your soul. I'm going to redeem myself so that I may be worthy of you, so that I can win back your love.
My love? Steve, do you really care for my love?
Care for it? Kate, I realize what a fool I've been. All these years you have been my beacon light, my guiding star. Will you believe in me and wait for me and come to me when I've proved worthy of you?
Whenever you want me?
Why, honey, he wants you now. You come out with us, out there in Montana, in our little homestead. The sun is shining on a new life, and we'll all be together, just we three, me and my boy and my little princess.
No, let me show myself an honest man first.
You ain't a dishonest man, son. You're only a weak boy who gave way to temptation. You need a strong, loving woman for a guide. You need the little princess.
I do. Kate, will you be my wife?
I think so.
He embraces her at center.
God is good, my boy. The new life is waiting for all of us. For me, and you, and our little princess.
Curtain. End of Act 3. End of Civil Service by Walter Ben Hare.